Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's episode, we'll be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart, that is black and white landscape photography. So specifically, today I'll be taking you through my creative process that allows me to go from this color image, as you can see here, and end up at the other end with this lovely black and white shot that you can see here. Before I start, I'd like to mention that this video is more about my personal creative process when working on an image, so I'm going to stay away from the more technical software explanations and delve into what I'm trying to visually say with a piece of work and what tools and techniques I use in service of that expression. Okay, with that said, let's get started. I made this image of Mount Fuji a few weeks ago in Enoshima, which is a popular beach area near my house. It was about 1 hour from sunset, which gave a nice diffused light, and I got lucky with the mist and low-hanging clouds near the base of the mountain. From the moment I arrived to shoot, I knew in my head already this was going to make a really nice black and white image. So why did I use a vertical shot for this project? And why this crop with so much sky and just a little water? I made vertical and horizontal images, and I have both in my archive, but this one just jumped out at me, with dramatic clouds that I knew would look great in monochrome, and with Mount Fuji acting as a visual base, so to speak, or something to ground the image and the viewer's eye on the bottom right third. Now, in the beginning of working on a shot like this, I'll focus attention on the sky and clouds to start. Drop a graduated filter on top and see if I can bring any more detail out of them. That and some slight cropping when I want to fine-tune the composition a little, as I'm doing here. This is all in preparation for when I change this to monochrome after. Now I have to admit I forgot an important step, something I usually do before any editing, and that's spot removal and cleaning up any visible dust or grime from the lens. This is super important, especially if I'm printing a fine art piece, because spots get magnified in a print. So I use a curves preset that inverts all the colors to make any spots visible. As you can see here, I had a very dirty lens or sensor when I shot this. So I'll go all around the image and nab all that gunk with the spot removal tool in Lightroom before continuing.
My laptop screen scrolling through the feeds. I'm subscribed to 100 blogs, but there's still...
After the necessary cleanup on this file, I then move into Photoshop Elements for the heavier lifting. Once open, I just need to clean up that piece of hair or whatever it is on the bottom left, and then open the image in Nik Silver Efex Pro 2, which is a favorite of mine when it comes to black and whites. I love the level of control you can get from that software, so now comes the more creative part of it all, the really fun part for me. In my mind, a nice moody sky with texture and shape really adds visual interest to a monochrome image, so I like to start there. When I'm making an image, I focus on one part at a time and put the shot together element by element, ending up with an individual piece of art that I've crafted completely how I'd like it to look. Here, I'm working the sky to bring out more contrast and texture. As I said before, I love dramatic skies, so here I'm focusing on that. There are sets of rules and techniques that can be followed in image making, but to me, all the must-dos and always-dos are all in service to your artistic vision, and sometimes inspiration hits, and I usually go with it when it does. So really, I don't always follow a set pattern when editing my work. Okay, so to continue with that theme of go with the flow, so to speak, once I've made global adjustments or all-around adjustments on the entire image, I go in with control points in Silver Efex so I can specifically darken or lighten parts of the sky as I see fit. Now, as I begin to do this, I can notice a pattern developing in the clouds, so I start to run with it. Based on this emerging pattern, I now choose what to selectively darken and lighten based on my intent for the viewer's eye. At this point, I've decided to bring the viewer into the frame from the top left, over to the right, and sort of zigzag down the way to the visual anchor of Mount Fuji below. As the anchor, so to speak, the only thing that needs doing is to add some weight or contrast to the mountains themselves by darkening those shapes and adding tones to the mist. Looking good to me so far. I do work the water a little bit, but decide to leave it for now. After seeing the sky and mountains, I know that I want to do something else to the water and add more visual interest. I'm just not sure what to do at this point. So back to Photoshop.
It's the lyrical recipe, lyrical ecstasy. Hearing no less from me, I accept and expect no less than the best and inject intellect without disrespect. Come on, be cool, just move with the groove. No funk in here, the beat way too smooth. Let's just do what we came to do, just vibe, yeah, vibe. Be cool, just move with the groove. No funk in here, the beat way too smooth. Let's just do what we came to do, just vibe with it, It's like an epidemic, pop star gimmick. Hit it, get it, then realize that you in it and you're finished.
So the sky is nice, the contrast is great, and the mountains are good and dark. Just the water. Well, like I said before, to me it's more a journey of exploration than just always applying the same processing to the image. Sound technique is a must, of course, but there's always room to play, and at this point, I don't know where to go with the water. I like the texture, but it's not, well, you know, it's just not. You know what I mean? It's just not. I want more movement, more interest. I decided to do exactly that and move the water using a filter. After some trial and error, I decided to use this version of the water. Still with some texture, but with added streakiness and a sense of movement. And I can see that because of the horizontal lines in the sky, I want to mimic those shapes in the water. So I go with horizontal blurring, up to 100%, and then I pull it back to taste. Just really playing around with what feels and looks good to me. Try everything. Don't like it? Control-Z undo, try again. No rules when creating. Now I did make a version in the field using a super slow shutter speed and a filter to completely smooth the water in camera, but in the moment of working on this, I've decided to do it this way. No harm done. So at this point, I have the sky I was looking for that I'm using to pull the viewer's eye into the shot from above, then down to the visual base in the dark mountains, then finally somewhere to rest and linger for a while in the smooth water before leaving the frame from the bottom. To me, that's what image making is all about. Creating a mood or a feeling and leading the viewer's eye to specific subjects within the shot to enhance the story you're trying to tell. I do play around at the end here with a touch more contrast in the clouds, getting rid of some noise and a bit more blur, burning and dodging, then finally round-tripping back to Lightroom for finishing touches. When I get there, I can notice two things I seem to have forgotten to do before though. With most of my monochrome images, I like to add a little tiny bit of color toning depending on the feel of the shot. Here it's a touch of gold, and in reality you wouldn't be able to tell if it was there without me having told you right now. It just adds some warmth and depth to a piece like this. That and a slight vignette to draw the viewer's focus inward and to contain the image as a whole, so to speak. voila, all done. How long does something like this take me? Well, as long as it takes, really. I don't rush myself when creating a piece like this, and I love the process as a whole. I hope that this was informative and inspiring to you no matter what your visual medium is, or even if you're just a collector or art patron, I hope you got something out of this as well. Before I go, I invite you to have a look at my free wallpaper offer that you can find in a link in the description below. You sign up with your name and email and get a high-resolution desktop wallpaper emailed to your inbox every week for you to use and enjoy. Just click the link in the description below to get access to that offer. Hope you enjoyed everything. This is Jeremy from jsiegelphoto.com, and I'll see you next time.